In 1919, Reverend Dean Michael founded a club called All Whites Rugby League Football Club. It's 100 years since Father Michael founded this wonderful club, and tonight we celebrate its centenary. I'm Andrew O'Brien and welcome to this special presentation on Power TV of the centenary dinner for Brothers Rugby League Club Toowoomba. Many players have graced the fields for All Whites and Brothers over the centenary, over the 100 years. Tom Gorman captained Australia from this club. Johnny Gleeson played for Australia, as did Alan Gill, Paddy Cocky McMahon, Mick Madsen, and not to mention even later players by the name of Wayne Bennett, and of course more recently Johnathan Thurston. We're really looking forward to the night. We're going to interview a number of guests and people who have made this club one of the greatest clubs in Queensland, if not Australia and the world. This is Power TV. Welcome to the Brothers Rugby League Football Club 100-year centenary dinner.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome along tonight to our 100-year centenary celebration. We've got a great night in store for the Brethren faithful, and we have three very special guests. Former Brothers players Wayne Bennett, JT and Ash Taylor. So put your hands together for our three guests, and a big thank you for them travelling to Toowoomba and giving up their very valuable time to be here in amongst their coaching duties, their TV duties and playing duties. Brothers have a very rich and proud history to be celebrated tonight, as well as a presentation later on of the centenary jerseys, celebrating the 29 premierships that Brothers have won. They're all printed on the front of these jerseys, and they're going to be presented to the current A-grade side, which will proudly be worn tomorrow against the Roosters. TRL Clydesdales have produced 168 players to represent Queensland from Toowoomba. 44 of them come from the Brothers Club. That's over a quarter of the players have come through this very, very proud club. The Toowoomba Clydesdales have also produced 58 kangaroo players. And 17 of them have come through this Brothers Club, which is 30%. Last Saturday night we celebrated the centenary of the Toowoomba Rugby League, and we announced the team of the century. 20 people were announced in that team, 18 players and 2 coaches. Brothers Club presented 10 of those players. We had Tommy Gorman, the big man Mick Madsen, Pat Cocky McMahon, Des McGovern, who'd forget Des the dual kangaroo, Ian Ripper Doyle, his brother Joe Doyle as well, Elton Rasmussen, Frank Drake, the fullback, Johnny Gleeson, Wayne Bennett and Johnathan Thurston were all announced in that TRL team of the century. So put your hands together for those from the Brothers Club. What I remember about Brothers, and this is from playing juniors at Newdown and seniors at Souths, was that Brothers, to me, seemed to be the family club. And while we've got them fantastic Queensland representatives, our kangaroo representatives, the things I remember about Brothers are the families that all through your history are still there. And they're still playing today, whether they're in the seniors or the juniors, like the Ryan family, the Beatros, the O'Sheas, the Fitzpatricks, the Hopgoods, the Andersons, McGraths, the Gills, the Lindenbergs, the Buckle family, the Barretts, the Bryants and the Fox family. They're all great families that have contributed to this club, whether it was playing on the field or whether it was working in admin, doing the canteen, getting the grounds ready. And some of those people have done all of those things for this great club. So while we remember and we celebrate the people that have achieved high results in our game, It's the members of this great club that you're celebrating tonight, every single one of you. And they've all contributed to great memories, like when Brendan Shireen calmly converted the Steve Petros try to win the 91 grand final in the last minute. Whether it's Mick Fay, Graham Clellan years ago won a man of the match, and the award was dinner for two to the Glad. But the only condition was the player had to take a female. Graham was girlfriendless, but Mick Fay, not to be missing out on a free feed, he put the wig on, put the dress on, put the makeup on, and he went down to the Glad with Clellan, and they enjoyed a great dinner, had a few beers, and by the end of the night, Mick was looking a bit more like Elle Macpherson. Other hard-working stalwarts of your club, like Morgan Jones. Jonesy would walk out of the Glad, go down the road. He'd ring up from the Glad, actually. He'd order a takeaway pizza, wander down the road, wait for it to come out, say, is that the Jones pizza? They'd say, yep. And he'd say, good, I'm hopping in and getting a ride home and a pizza. These are the characters. So the footballers and the characters is what makes this great club, and it allows us here to celebrate the extraordinary achievements of the rep players that you produce. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy your 100-year celebration for Brothers throughout the whole year, and we enjoy tonight. Put your hands together for the Brothers Club. I'd now like to invite to the stage the Chairman of the TRL, Mr. Brian Gilroy, for a special presentation to the Brothers Club on behalf of the QRL. Brian? Guppy's just putting it up now for you, mate.
That's better. Yeah, thanks, Reeds. I've been asked on behalf of the Queensland Rugby League to present a plaque to the Brothers Club to commemorate this wonderful achievement of 100 years. It's a great honour to be here on behalf of not only the QRL but the TRL, and to congratulate everybody on that. And on behalf of the QRL chairman, Bruce Hatcher, and of course Robbie Moore, old Toowoomba boy, who is now the CEO of the QRL. Just a quick story, I was talking to Ron Beecham, he was here last week, and he tells me that in 68 or something, he gave Bruce Hatcher a bath in a game and kept him out of the Queensland side. So that was an achievement for Brothers over the chairman of the Queensland Rugby League, the current chairman. So, but Paddy will come up, I'll present this.
We could get our Brothers chairman, Pat Johnson, put your hands together, doing a great job. Put your hands together, Pat Johnson. They've done a great job putting our celebration together.
Thank you, Paul. This is some sort of special night for me. I'm not quite sure if I'm the right person here, but I just happen to be in the right place at the right time, I guess you could say. I'd just like to say good evening and welcome to and make special mention to the patron of our senior club, who is Mr. Paul Antonio, the Mayor, also the junior patron, and also member for Toowoomba South, the Liberal Party, Mr. David Janeski. Queensland and Toowoomba Rugby League life members of all whites, brothers, seniors, juniors, special guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to deliver the welcome on behalf of Brothers on this special evening. We have a unique organisation where our juniors and seniors work together as one. Hence our slogan, Brothers as One. And I cannot recall any situation like ours in Toowoomba, at least. As you all would be aware, our history is unlocked and very interesting past, where we have had the golden times and the times not so golden. But we have toughed out those periods, banded together, and soldiered on. Can't go on without mentioning previous committees who worked so hard to lay the foundations for us to build on, setting the standards and traditions for this club to follow, and we thank them for that, and they will never be forgotten. I must thank my fellow committee for helping making this night a success, together with Treasurer Carrie Ann Beatros and her husband Steve, who has just been marvellous. Secretary Karen Pomfret, thank you very much, Karen. Publicity Officer Kylie Moore has worked tirelessly. You have been a tower of strength. Thanks, Peter Hardwick, for all your help with the history of the club, which has been amazing. Also, thanks to Mick O'Neill from the Old Boys, who has worked hard to try and get the Old Boys here. Also, thanks Garth Perkins, President from the Juniors. Your work is irreplaceable. And if I have missed anyone, I am very sorry. Congratulations to the TRL and Valleys on also their 100 years, and we look forward to clashing with the latter tomorrow night at Glenholme Park. I urge everyone to get to Delhi Fay Hill tomorrow, and that's a job in itself. And I think a lot of us have been there at different times, and we will be there again tomorrow night. And we will enjoy a coldie. In closing, enjoy the rest of the evening and catch up with old friends and talk about the last 100 years. In closing, I just would like to say this club is your club. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Pat. Well said. Exactly right when he said this is your club. Ladies and gentlemen, we've now got a very special video presentation that goes for a few minutes, and then we're going to move straight into dinner where you can catch up again. Then we're going to be back with our three very lucky guests. A big thank you to Millie, Paul Kenning, Steve and Kylie and them for putting this video presentation together. So ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your video presentation, and then we're going to go straight to dinner, and then we'll be back with our special guests.
As the First World War was nearing its end and soldiers returning home in 1919, a new rugby league club was born in Toowoomba. Past Brothers was so named because the club was formed of mainly old boys of St Mary's Christian Brothers College, or so it seemed for many years. Among those players in the early days of the infant club were the likes of Mick Madsen, often referred to these days as the grandfather of the club, who went on to represent the Toowoomba Clydesdales, Queensland and Australia. Mick was not only known as a great front row forward and all-round footballer, but also for his brute strength and larger than average sized hands. Arguably, more than anyone else, Mick was to figure largely in the club's history. Because it was perceived that the club was made up of former Brothers boys, hence the name Past Brothers, the Catholic Bishop of Toowoomba at the time, Bishop Basil Roper, supported the club, and it's reported that he sponsored the team to a degree in providing the jerseys. However, all that changed dramatically in the 1930s when Bishop Roper found out a number of players were not in fact old Brothers boys, and in particular, Mick Madsen had attended another school altogether. As a consequence, the strict Bishop Roper forbade the club from using the name Past Brothers, and so the search for another identity was launched. Because the players of the day used to meet at the Carlton Hotel in Ruthven Street near the corner of Bell Street, the team found a ready sponsor, and for 4 years the club played under the banner of Carltons. However, towards the end of the 1930s and early 1940s, a rugby union team was playing out of the Holy Name parish ground. But as of World War II, rugby went into recession. Parish priest Reverend Dean Michael then took the opportunity to enter a rugby league club and, with many of the same players, kicked off the All Whites Club, of which Dean Michael was president and Jack McGaw its inaugural secretary. Because supplies of just about anything during the Second World War were scarce, and footy jerseys certainly came into that category, the best Dean Michael could find and afford were all-white jerseys. And so the club became All Whites Rugby League Football Club, which was based at Holy Name in an old brick shed with 2 dribbling showers and lights that occasionally worked. Mick Madsen was still with the club and coached various All Whites teams. The club remained based at Holy Name, which became the seniors and juniors training paddock until the 1970s, when the club acquired Glenholme Park, which remains its home today. The club's juniors was established in 1970 with 3 grades, increasing to every grade the next year, and have remained strong ever since. The juniors will celebrate 50 years next year. However, despite relocating to Glenholme Park, those ties to Holy Name remained, and the old shed was eventually demolished, with the rubble packed onto the back of a truck and transported out to Glenholme to become the foundations of what we know now as the Delhi Fay Hill. So every time you stand at the bar on the hill, you're standing on some real club history with the old brick shed underfoot. The club committees had worked hard raising money for the grounds and eventually to have Glenholme Park Clubhouse built on site. Fundraisers included the chook raffles at the club's home pub of the Gladstone Hotel, owned for many years by great club supporters the Healy family, and through the monthly 200 Club, sometimes held at the Glad or in the old house that used to sit just west of where the clubhouse now stands. Chook raffles were also conducted at the Gary Road, Wilsonton, Stock Exchange and Bellevue hotels. Those 200 Club nights were notorious. For just $2 a ticket in the multiple cash draws, the patron also got to share in free beer from a keg put on by the club. In the days before saturation roadside breath testing, these 200 clubs were very popular, even though some used to question the winners announced. Raised eyebrows and giggles used to greet such winners as Glenn Holmes, or Ron Hersley, or Harry Saint, or A. White. At an opening ceremony dinner in the Glenholme Park Clubhouse in July 1977, then Queensland Rugby League chairman Ron McAuliffe officially opened the building with reference to the fundraisers by simply toasting, "God bless the Chook." A group of committee people became trustees of the club and actually put up their homes against the loan for the building, and a fundraising drive had 200 supporters putting in $200 each to become foundation members, the money from which went to the building. It was a credit to the committee and volunteers that the building was completely paid for within 10 years of construction. After some years of gentle and not so gentle urging from the Confraternity of Brothers Clubs Queensland, All Whites reverted to its original name of Brothers in the early 2000s, but regardless of its various names over the past 100 years, the club's spirit and camaraderie has always remained undaunted. In 100 years, the club has supplied almost 50 Australian players and even more Queensland representatives, not to mention a host of Toowoomba Clydesdales. But it's not just the great players who are celebrated here, but all who donned the Brothers butcher stripes or the white and blue of All Whites. Also celebrated are the many hard-working volunteers at the club, from members of the executive such as Jack Lee, who served as club president for more than 20 years, and club president, vice president, team manager Keith Doyle. Of course, special mention must go to Eric Blue Williams, who served on the executive as either president, secretary or treasurer for more than 40 years, including a stint for a while as president of the club's seniors and junior bodies. Not bad for a man who never actually played the game. The club has been very fortunate too in having a range of volunteers in such capacities as working the canteens and bars, and a great thanks and recognition has to go to the number of women who worked tirelessly over the years to keep the club up and running and ensuring there was a certain level of decorum maintained around the place. Due to financial constraints at the time, the Senior Bodies Committee of the day decided to sell the 10 acres owned by the seniors, and the sale price of $2 million was put in trust and the club run off the back of the interest. However, to the credit of many of today's committee members, The club was repurchased from Clive Berghofer and has plans for a multi-million-dollar facelift, which is taking shape as we speak. That alone should create a strong foundation to see this proud rugby league club continue well into the next 100 years.
Yeah, well, we're here at the 100-year Centenary dinner for Brothers Rugby League Club, and we're here with Garth Perkins, life member of Brothers, and the night's finally arrived.
It has, you know, it's been a long time coming, but it'll be a spectacular night, and look forward to it tremendously.
Yeah, look, one thing I like about you is these wonderful banners that you've done, Garth. Congratulations there.
Hey, if I haven't got it right now, that's all I've done since I've left school, so if I can't get something like that right now, I'll give it up.
Yeah, you love the way that Brothers are going at the moment. We're heading in the right direction.
I do. Like, all the way, look, we try extremely hard all the way through to get it right from the youngest to the oldest. And it in this wonderful game of rugby league. And that's what we're here for, and that's what we put our time in for, to make sure it works right.
Yeah, Garth, I was looking at people like Tom Gorman, Mick Matson, Paddy McMahon, Alan Gill, Johnny Gleeson. You know, you don't realise until you actually delve into the archives how much of a rich history this particular club has, not only in Toowoomba but in Queensland.
Andrew, you're dead right, because like I had to do a board up for the different things and go through the archives. You don't realise how many people, we've had over 50 play for Australia and Queensland and all this type of stuff. That's from a country town, and I think that's a wonderful effort. And like the first one, I'd like to congratulate the Toowoomba Rugby League and Valleys on their 100 years as well.
Yeah.
Because like you've got to have someone to play, and like I look forward to tomorrow night when we play Valleys in the Centennial game, with the old boys game, then the A grade. Of course, we'll have the games before it, but it'll be a wonderful weekend, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I named a few champion players, but none more than the champion administrators like yourself, Garth.
Oh, no.
You've done a wonderful job, and I really hope that you have a wonderful night.
Thank you for that, Andrew.
All right.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Well
Thank
done.
you.
Yeah, and we're here with one of the sponsors, John from Johnathan Concreting. And look, what a wonderful night here, John.
It is a wonderful night, yeah, pleased to be here.
How long have you been involved with Brothers Rugby League Club?
We've only just become a sponsor this season, so my daughter, she started playing for the under-12 girls, so we thought it'd be a good time to come in and support the club. So
you'd be pretty impressed with functions like this and the way they've carried themselves this year?
Oh, definitely, 100%.
Yeah, tell us a little about your business.
Well, we're a small local Toowoomba business. We do shed slabs and shed construction. So we hire a few local guys and yeah.
Okay. Well, go the mighty brethren and enjoy your night.
Yep, perfect. Thank you very much.
Good on you. We're here with one of the most lovable people in Toowoomba, an old brethren himself, Dennis Duffy. How are you, Duff?
Very good, Andrew.
Yeah, you've been looking forward to this night. It's going to be a wonderful night.
Well, it's always good to catch up with the people that you haven't seen for a long time, and it brings back a lot of good memories, and very proud to be here.
In those late 70s and early 80s, weren't they magical times and tough times?
They were. I came from Maryborough in 78 and played for Brothers in Maryborough and really enjoyed my football there, played for Wide Bay there and came to Toowoomba and with all whites back in those days and with some good people here.
Yeah, I heard that in those eras that Paddy O'Shea was a big influence in the club at that time.
We had most probably back Chris Anderson started and Johnny Wilson. Yep. Chris Anderson was coaching when we first came here in 78 and then Johnny Wilson.
Yep.
And then Pat O'Shea was towards the end of that. And then Greg Brown was in the middle of that.
Okay, and of those... who was your, well, probably weren't mentors in those days, but they were your mates, weren't they? Who were the ones that coached you and you played for them?
I suppose Chris Anderson, he came from Redcliffe in Brisbane, and he was a great player back in those days when he played there, and he was someone to look up to as well. And I enjoyed my years there.
Yeah, it's just a good field tonight, Dennis, isn't it?
It is, and it's good to catch up with a lot of people. Good to see the people that are here, and I'm sure there's a lot of faces here that it's hard to think who they are sometimes. They change. It's called a matter of time.
It certainly is, Dennis, because you just can't remember all of them, and you know the face. And anyway, we're all under the one cap, and we're all here for the one reason.
Oh well, you know that's what life's all about. And we always think that football is everything, but football just is one part of our life, and we all move on. And things happen when you're playing football. You think, what am I going to do after football? But a lot of things do happen after football, and you've got to put things in place.
All right, man. I hope you have a wonderful night. Thanks for talking to us, mate.
Thank you, Andrew. I enjoyed that. Thank you.
Well done.
I'm Nev Cherry here at the Brothers Centennial dinner, and I've run into one of the players that was a favourite son out at All Whites when it turned into Brothers, Sam Hennett. Sam, can you tell me what it was like with going through the name change?
Yeah, the very first year actually it became Brothers in 2005, and I was actually playing rugby union down in Brisbane for Sunnybank, and I was moving back to Toowoomba to go to uni and become a teacher, and Mark Barrett gave me a call and said, you know, we're putting together a pretty good squad here, and it was a good squad. We had a very good team that year. The first year it was Brothers. You know, we trained at St Mary's in the pre-season. Like, it was nothing for us to have 100 blokes at training, you know, in the pre-season. It was fantastic, but yeah.
That year, can you give me some players that were in that side, Sam?
Oh, gee, we had the likes of Mark McKenzie, who I know played for South before that, went down to play for East in Brisbane after that. I think Trevor Sharpley was around at that time. We had Shane Wilson, Kyle Warren, who played for the Cowboys and is here tonight too, which is good to see. Yeah, there are a few of those blokes, yeah.
Mate, the thing with All Whites Brothers Club is they love success. And over that time that you played with the club, you've made 4 grand finals?
Yeah, so I started in 2005. We played Gundy in the grand final that year and went down. And after that, Valleys had their very successful team. And I think I think Valleys won 6. I think we played them in 3 of those grand finals. And probably the one that comes to memory, I think we lost 12-10 one day to Valleys, and you know, probably should have won it. But it was heartbreaking that day. But we ended up getting up in 2012 against South, which was very pleasing.
So what drew you to the All Whites Brothers Club? It was just the guys or the organisation?
Well, it all started. See, my granddad and my dad, they all were involved, and their dad's brothers.
What was their names?
So Noel Hannett was on one of the foundation committees, and Dad played over 100 games for All Whites in A grade. Laurie Hannett, and you know, they were sort of involved when the building got put up out at Glenholme. Wow. They were sort of in the foundation committee, so. You know, it was a bit of a no-brainer to come back and play league when I moved back to Toowoomba given the family history.
Mate, they're a great family club, the All Whites Brothers Club. Great tradition. There was one stage they had 10 brothers playing for them back in the 80s and 90s. And, mate, it's just a wonderful organisation. And, mate, hopefully they're here for another 100 years. And because you're the first fella, Sam, and I want you to sign our board on behalf of your grandfather and the entire Hannah family. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Nev.
Yeah, well, we're here at the Brothers Centenary dinner with a couple of real big bookends. We've got Barney Shireen here and Tony Buckles. The only person missing is Stevie Buttross. You know, but what a great night, Barney.
Oh, beautiful night, mate. Geez, it's good to catch up with all the old heads from the playing days. It's been really good.
Yeah, and Bucks, you had a formidable side in those years, didn't you?
What was that?
You had a formidable side in those years.
We had a great. We probably started in 85, we made the grand final, 85, 88, 89, 90 we won it, 91 we won it, 93 we won it, 94 we lost it.
And what about, who was your coach in those years?
Well, we had a lot of coaches. We had Pat O'Shea, who was one of the best coaches you probably had, and all through that we had Terry Shooter. Every coach you have, you always learn different things from, and that's what the way you look at it, yeah.
And Barney, you had some epic battles. Who was your toughest opponents?
My challenges were Oki, I think. Oki were the real battles with us. We played out there, and they used to, as you be sent off or 10 minutes in the bin, they used to spit on you and all that sort of stuff. Really made the atmosphere when you were playing.
And who was your toughest opponent?
Well, I think, from memory, Darren Denman from Newdown. He was a very hard man to hit front on, you know, to always hit hard and get the ball away. He was one of the toughest, I think, from memory.
Yeah, and what a great night for Brothers Rugby League.
Oh, it's such a great night for catch up with everyone. Everyone looks a little bit older, but they haven't changed too much in that time. Yeah,
Well, you scrub up pretty well.
Well, thanks. Like my pink jacket?
Yeah, well, I don't know about you, Bucks. Oh, no, only joking, Bucks. But who was your toughest opponent?
Probably Billy Johnson from O'Meara.
Wow.
I played with him in trauma teams and that. And I always said to our players, you'd never run straight at Billy, because if you run straight at him, he'd whack you, and that was it. One of our blokes, Rowdy McGrath, he ran straight at him one day and he had blood coming out of his ears and everything. You just never run straight at Billy.
Yeah, and what a great night for this wonderful club.
No, it'd be great, yeah. No, it's really good. I've run and we met down at the National there before, and just the amount of people that you're talking to, and it's just brilliant, yeah.
Are you playing the old boys tomorrow?
Well, my wife doesn't want me to. I've got an artificial disc in my back, so I'm going to play, but yeah, I think.
Yeah, well, that's only a small sort of injury compared to what I'm hearing, is that right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have a bit of fun, that'd be good.
And Marnie, you're taking your wheelchair on tomorrow for the old boys game?
Absolutely, I'll be there in spirit. I might run the water or something like that, but there'll be no game for me. Too old for that.
Enjoy the night, boys.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Well done. Okay. Good on you. Well done, thank you.
Before we get our three very special guests up, and what an honour it's going to be for everybody here tonight. It's hard to get one superstar of the rugby league game into a room, but to get three of them here tonight is going to be a real joy for everybody here tonight. Shh. We're ready to go. We're going to endeavour to have the evening over by 9:30 or so that you've got plenty of time to reminisce and catch up with each other. But we might invite a lovely young lady who's been doing a lot of work for the Brothers Club up. So if you put your hands together for your princess in the 100th year, Ashley Mann. We're going to draw a couple of lucky door prizes. Now for those of you that don't know, during the last weekend, there was a helicopter flowing into Glenholme Park. Mitchie jumped off with Ashley, got down on bended knee, and he proposed to her. Come on, Ashley. Now, did he actually do that, or did he just say you want to get married?
Oh, well, he was going to ask me, and I just yelled out yes before he asked me, so...
You were pretty eager. Well done, Mitch. Now, Mitch, I've got to say you're batting above your average, definitely. Ashley, a lot of people throughout the years have the honour of being a princess of a club, and it's a lot of work. They do a lot of hard work, but to do it in the 100th year, how special is that for you?
Oh, it's amazing. Just seeing how far the boys have come this year too is incredible, and thanks for putting up with me fundraising, guys, and harassing you.
So have we got any more fundraising things coming up this year for the brothers?
I've got a ladies' day coming up on the...
Little bit of respect for a lady who's working very hard for you.
I've got a ladies' day coming up on the 27th of July.
So 27th July, keep that one free. We've got a ladies' day coming up at Glenholme Park.
Yeah.
Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and you've been doing a bit... Has Mitch been actually helping you do any fundraising, mate? Or?
He did a bit when he broke his jaw, but now that he's playing, it's...
See what happens, Mitch, when you back chat, you get a broken jaw. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a lucky door prize. One of the prizes, we're going to do this one a bit later on, is a special jersey with the new and the old. It's been signed by JT and by Wayne Bennett. You can grab Ash later as well, and if whoever wins that, I'm sure if you go and ask them gentlemen, they'll be happy to personalise it for you. We do have the special dinner down to Parliament House, silver service dinner and a tour of Parliament, and we also have 2 tickets to the Rugby League musical, thanks to Kylie. That's coming to town, so that's going to be another great evening. So they're fantastic prizes. Make sure you got your ticket ready. Ashley, in that box, if you want to grab it. We'll get David Janetsky up. Our member is doing a great job to present the first prize. There you go, Dave. So our first one is the Silver Service Luncheon, a tour of Parliament. Very special. So, Ashley, if you'd like to get Dave to draw one, we'll yell it out. It's a green ticket. E38. E38. Who's got that? Here we go, right in the middle. So come on up. You get a lucky door prize from David, and we'll get Ashley up a little bit later on as well. So put your hands together for Ashley, and we'll draw a couple more prizes straight after dessert. Thanks, David. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for us to welcome our three very special guests up to the stage, and we do need some shush and some quiet. We've got some, they've given up their own time away from coaching or now media for JT and playing for Ash to come here tonight as former Brothers players to celebrate with you. So if you'd welcome to the stage Wayne Bennett, the super coach, one of the most successful rugby league coaches in the NRL. Also, Johnathan Thurston, a fantastic product of rugby league and a true gentleman. And our current NRL star, Ash Taylor, you come up as well, the Titans halfback. So, you all know these three men for their deeds on the field and as well as in the coaching box, and now for media as well, particularly with Johnathan Thurston retiring recently. Thanks, guys, for coming back. It's really important to... everyone celebrates 100 years, and a lot of clubs let it just slip by not doing a lot, but it's great that the Brothers Club haven't done that, and they've really acknowledged the past and present and the future players. I'll start with you, JT, since you're over there. Mate, you come to Toowoomba as a young fella to go to St Mary's. You had Paul Kenning as your coach. What do you remember about when you first come to Toowoomba, and what dragged you to the Brothers Club?
So my uncle, Dean, was a referee in the QRL, and I think the principal of St Mary's at the time was Rob White, and he was a referee in the QRL as well. So living in Brisbane, things weren't going too great for me. So I got an interview at St Mary's College when I was in towards the start of year 10, and they had a look at my report card and said, with a report card like that, you can't come here. So how about you get your grades up to a satisfactory level and your behaviour, and we'll have another interview at the end of the year. And I did that. And I came back, and I think Gary Reen might have been my interview that day. So I think Reen accepted me, but he said, if I find you a family to stay with, will you come and play at All Whites? So I said, yeah, this was a great opportunity for myself to come to a school, a rugby league school, but also to further my footy that wasn't really getting going anywhere in Brisbane. So I did that. I lived with the family from here, the Sevens.
Yep.
I went to school with their younger son, Andrew, and Eugene said I'd go to footy training in the afternoon. So I did that for a year and wanted a bit more freedom, and they wouldn't allow that. So I asked my coach at the time, Rob Walmsley,
warm up,
and Kate, if I can live with them for year 12. So I lived with them for year 12, and pretty much stayed with them until I moved to Sydney.
Mate, what are some of the things you remember about playing for Brothers, maybe juniors and into the seniors, that is different to any other club?
Yes, I was still at high school, and I think Reedy was coaching local A grade, the A grade side. So I think it might have been at school. He said, "I'm going to play you off the bench this weekend." And I was probably, I don't know, 60 kilos, and didn't know how I was going to play against these men that were playing local A grade. It was against, I think it was against Waddles. I remember playing against, I think Tony Duggan was at the height of his game back then, and I remember playing against him. But I had blokes like Mick Kennedy, Don Saunders, Ando, all the boys that looked after me, and, you know, tucked me under their wing. So that's when I went and bought a headgear.
You made it famous?
And it wasn't just to keep these ears tucked in, it was to protect my head. And I ended up playing while I was at high school, and that's how it all come about. So, living in Toowoomba, my schooling years, they were the best 2 years of my schooling years, and Toowoomba's got a massive part in my heart. From the 2 years that I've made some wonderful friends over the years that have welcomed me into their lives and taken me in as one of their own. So I'm very grateful and thankful for that.
Wayne, you didn't come to Toowoomba with a bad report card, but you came here from Warwick to look for opportunities, mate. What dragged you to, or what brought you to the Brothers Club out of all the other clubs you could have had a choice of?
Yeah, well, I was brought up in Warwick, and I was a police cadet at the time in Brisbane, and I went there when I was 16, but I'd go home every weekend and still play for Warwick. And I just turned 18, I was playing first grade, and my uncle was Eddie Brosnan, and he was a police sergeant, and he coached us in Warwick. He played for Australia, he was in the 1948-49 Kangaroo Tour. I'd been to Christian Brothers School in Warwick, didn't go there for long, but I went. I never had a report card, but that was because it didn't stay long. I was gone in grade 8. So I always wanted to play for a club that he played for. I read all his scrapbooks, and I was one of the people that had advocates for my life. And so I couldn't imagine myself playing anywhere else for a Brothers Club, and although it was called All Whites, in Warwick I was playing for Collegians, which was most of the boys at the Brothers School were playing there. Whatever, so it was only logical that I'd come here. But at 18 we played a game here in Toowoomba. The rep side played all the Toowoomba clubs. We played about 20-minute halves we played. We played All Whites in the final. And there's a guy named John Wilson, who's still the best hitter I've ever seen. Played for All Whites that day, and I thought, I'm going to come to Toowoomba, I'm definitely going to come to this club, so he won't be tackling me. I also had a number of offers to go to Brisbane, but I didn't think I was mature enough to play in Brisbane. I'd watched a bit of club football and that down there, and I just thought I wouldn't make it to where I wanted to go in football if I went to Brisbane too early. So I got sworn in, and Jack Lee, who was a pretty famous guy in his time here, had approached me after the game about coming to All Whites, and he said, I can get you here, when you get sworn in I can get you here. And I didn't play in 69 because I had an operation on my shoulder, and I'd also had to go through probationary training at that time, and it was pretty committed stuff, so I didn't want to bug up my career. And got sworn in in July, and about 2 months later I realised that it's not what you know in life, but who you know, because Jack Lee had got me transferred to Toowoomba in the police force.
Graft and corruption back
then. My auntie lived here, I come and lived with her for 3 years, and it was a great time in my life.
You went on to play for Queensland and Australia, as we know, but you got an opportunity to pull on that Clydesdale jersey. How did that feel?
Yeah, I was thinking about that today, coming on the plane. I was thinking about that. I love the athletic oval, and I love playing for Toowoomba, except when we played Ipswich. They built you on the field, and they bagged the shit off you off the field. So sitting on the wing, you get to hear a lot of that shit.
It's all right now. Most of them can't speak English.
I made a career out of it, but most of us want to do a bit more than stand there and soak up all the shit they throw at you. So when we played in Roma and a few other places with the Toowoomba team, and of course the Bulimba Cup. I was part of the Bulimba Cup, the last one they won here in 1970. I was on the bench, and I can still remember Bob Hagen's pre-game talk. It was outstanding. Of all the coaches that I had involved in my life, Bob Bax and Bob Hagen were the best two I'd come across. But Bob Hagen was first guy that ever kind of taught you anything. And he was the guy that introduced, we all play left and right defence now, we don't call it left and right defence anymore, but he introduced that. He'd been in England for 3 years and he come home with that from there. So the centres would play on the right, one would be on the right, one would be on the left. In my era, they all played together, but not when he coached the Toowoomba side. And they beat Brisbane in the final here in 1970 at the Athletic Oval. It was a great day, it was a great occasion, but I've made a lot of speeches myself before games and I've had a lot as a player, but I still remember his. It was absolutely outstanding. It was really good.
Ash, Toowoomba boy, born and bred. Brothers, your only club here in Toowoomba. Mate, what was some of the fondest things you remember as a young fella running around, probably even back in the days before we wore boots playing football on the juniors?
Yeah, growing up in St George, we didn't wear any boots. It was something different coming to Toowoomba. Obviously, being grade 5 and having to wear footy boots was something different. I love my mates. Obviously coming to Harristown, my brother just started high school. That was a massive move for my brother because he was the one that was supposed to be where I am today. My family moved because he was the one that was supposed to be the most potential, but I ended up overtaking him and going down that Broncos road and going through Harristown. Met some pretty great mates that I'm still mates with today. Zach Rubb, Ben Holman, William Squires. All part of the first grade squad these days, and coming through the ranks with them, you could say that I wouldn't be where I am without them because even though you learn so much off your coach, Mike Holman, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Ash, you show that you from Toowoomba straight into the NRL. Lucky with Wayne, he identified you early, had you in the junior development all the way through, mate. So you show it's possible. What's some advice you'd probably give to some of the young fellas that are still wanting to, or on the verge of getting into NRL? What's some advice, maybe some pitfalls or things to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I thought it was a long way down the track. When I left school, I thought it was a long way away before I could, make my first grade debut or, be on the big stage. It wasn't until I got my phone call off, the manager, Wayne Bennett's manager, and it was all a massive blur for me. I lost my car keys that night. Trying to get the training because it was the last session before the game, and it was very nerve-wracking for me. Rocking up the training, and the great coach himself, coming up to me and saying that it's a big opportunity for me to play, and I just wanted to take it with both hands, and being a ambassador that I want to be, I want to pass down to these kids that it's not too far away, and to all these parents out here that have kids coming through the Toowoomba system, especially brothers, don't really like bellies. I really want to pass it down that it's not too far away. I thought that it was a long way down the track, that that it was an opportunity for me a long way away in a few more years' time, that it really took for me to make that to make the first grade, and but it come really quick, and coming out of school and moving down to Brisbane for only 2 years, that it really come really quick. So I just want to pass down to you guys, and to any guys who are inspired to play first grade, that can only be around the corner. It's really quick, and you just got to put the hard work in to really show that you want to play first grade, and to sacrifice a lot of things. Going to your high school parties and hang out with your mates and do what they want to do. But if you want to play first grade, there's a lot of sacrifice, and you really need to give up a lot of things to be where I am today.
Wayne, you've seen something in him. You gave him his NRL debut. Sadly, I think you broke your finger in that game.
29 minutes.
29 minutes. You must have seen something special in him. An origin period gives people an opportunity when some of the other players are away.
Yeah, well, that's always one of the upsides of the origin, is that young guys get an opportunity, and when they probably don't get one through the season because the player in that position has to get injured before you get the chance. So, but Ash has all the skills. He's got the pass, he's got the the kick, he's got the tackle, he's got the whole lot. He's just got to want to apply them every time he plays. But they're all there, and most of it's God-given. Other parts you can improve and work on it, but you know, he's talking about the young players of today. I mean, the one thing I can tell all the young players of today, and anybody here that's interested, is that talent alone is not going to get you to the top anymore.
Yeah.
In my era, his era, it would play a huge part, but not in the modern game. It doesn't. It's just. It's a bit of a fallacy, eh? If you think you're talented and that's all you've got to do. There's a huge commitment required now, and you've got to have a lot more going for you than just talent.
JT, you were playing for Brothers and your opportunity come, and you were probably lucky that a fellow Toowoomba player was down there at the Bulldogs.
Yeah, so I played Queensland 19s as an 18-year-old, and when I wrote that night, and I think Mark Hughes might have come up and had a meeting with me, warm-up and Kate, and I was playing local A grade. It was 2001, so I wasn't too keen on moving to Sydney. I was playing really good football. I was enjoying my football. You know, I was working here as well. So I went to Sydney for the weekend, watched the Bulldogs play, and ended up saying hello to Steve Price. And he was on the massage table. I played Newcastle, up in Newcastle. And I just said hello, you know, I've been living in Toowoomba. Mark said, he's not too keen on coming down at the moment. And he asked, why is that? And I said, I'm enjoying my football here in Toowoomba. I'm playing for All Whites. It's good fun. I want to come at the end of the year and, you know, get a good pre-season under my belt. And the first thing he said to me is, you won't last. I was like, what do you mean you won't last? And he goes, well, when kids come down from the country, the Bulldogs pre-season training is the hardest training that you'll ever do. After a few weeks, you'll get homesick and you'll want to go home. I was like, fair point. So I ended up coming home, packing my bags, moved down to Sydney the following week. And he was pretty right. I was training for a while with him, and lo and behold, about 4 weeks in, I'm in the corner crying. I want to go home. I'm homesick. So this was middle way through the season, and like Ash said, you know, opportunities can come really quickly. After about 6 weeks of training, I went home that week. It was Ricky Stewart who found me crying. Said, you're homesick. I'll send you home for the weekend, but you've got to promise me you come back. So I came back, and that following weekend I played Jersey Flegg. And played a couple of games off the bench and played really well. Then I got promoted to the starting side, and I was playing in the starting side then for about 3 weeks. And then in those days, when you're playing good in under 20s, which is Jersey Flegg back then, if you're playing good, they'd sit you on the bench for reserve grade.
Yep.
So we're playing Parramatta, and Kev Moore said to me, I'm going to put you on the bench for reserve grade. So I was like, you know, this has all happened in the space of 6 weeks. So I went from not playing anywhere, like playing at All Whites, to playing reserve grade, you know, at the showgrounds in Sydney. And sitting on the bench, and Stephen Hughes goes down with an injury. Kev Moore looks at me and says, you're on, son. I'm like, he's a centre, I'm a half. He goes, you're in the centres. I went, fuck. I haven't played centre since I was about 12. And to make matters worse, I'll get on the field, I'll look across from me, and there's Willie Tonga. So I'm marking Willie Tonga, so my night it was all right. So yeah, it happened extremely quickly for me. Played really well and ended up playing a lot of reserve grade games that year as an 18-year-old. And but back then, that's what it was. There was no under 20s competition. So it was reserve grade. You went from 20s to reserve grade. So if you were, you know, if you were getting ahead of yourself, I was playing with blokes like Steve Reardon as an 18-year-old, Adam Perry, Shane Martini, all these blokes that have played, you know, first grade for many years. And if you got ahead of yourself, they'd pull you by the ear and go, oi, can pull your head in because you won't last. And that's what it was like back then. You know, you had these blokes that could do that. Where in competition now, of late, I think those boys don't have those influences around them like I had when I moved to Sydney.
You said you a bit apprehensive about going down because you're loving your football here and you're loving the people you're playing with. Who were some of the people you played with or against that you really sort of remember? Maybe because they give you a touch up on the field, or someone you played with that was a real inspiration to you.
Yeah, so the boys that I mentioned before, Mick Kennedy, tucked me under his wing, Tony Gollan, Ando, Donny Saunders, those blokes. But I remember we played Gundawindi one day at All Whites, and the whole back line, except the 5'8", were McGrady's, and the 5'8" was Mel Peckham.
Oh, yes.
So here I am, 60 kilos, standing off a scrum. I look across from me and there's Mel Peckham, 110 kilos. But it taught me, playing here taught me how to play tough, because I was a 17-year-old playing against grown men and they didn't care who you were or how good you were. If they got a hold of you, they ragdolled you. But like I said, I had those boys that really looked after me and tucked me under their wing and taught me a lot.
Mel Peckham is mentioned in Arthur Beetson's book as the greatest footballer he ever seen that didn't play NRL. So that was a nice welcome for you, the McGrady's and Mel Peckham. Ash, what about you when you played here in Brothers? Who were some of the players you remember that you thought might be playing NRL, that played with you or against you in Toowoomba?
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of players that I grew up in the Toowoomba competition that could have been, in the position I am. There's a lot of great players. I can't name names, but it was a strong competition back then. But the players I played against, just made me better.
Who was probably one of the better coaches you had when you were up here in Toowoomba?
Oh, definitely Mike Holman. He was very influential on me. Always looked after me, and always led me in the right direction. His son Ben was in the team at the time, and he didn't really take much notice of Ben, but he really wanted to look after me. And he's such a great leader, and he's still a great coach. Even though he's getting on with age, but I still think he gains a lot of knowledge in his age, and I respect him as a person, and he respected me as a player, and he always wanted the best for me, and he still does to date. Even the stuff I'm going through within the past few years, he's always sort of the one that's always really cared for me, because it touches home. He's like my second dad. Playing the juniors for Brothers, like as you mentioned earlier, and obviously Paddy, it's like a family. I consider Brothers as a family to me, and I wouldn't want to play for anybody else. This club meant a lot to me, and it still does to date. Even though I don't know most of the guys in the building, the history, what goes on with the club. I still respect the club as it is, and and I always will be.
Tell you one thing, there's so many events on in Toowoomba, and every opportunity we've got to get someone back, it's Ash Taylor putting his hand up. You're back for the different events, whether it's the Weepwood, the juniors, at the Brothers, you're always back there, Brissette. You're an absolute credit to yourself and your family. So, will you always call Toowoomba home, mate?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in St. George, but Toowoomba Brothers really give me the opportunity to be who I am today. And if somebody asked me to come back and be an ambassador, or to come back to to be the face of something back here, this is home for me. I love Toowoomba, and I especially love Brothers, and anything that goes on back here, I want to be a part of, because it meant so much to me growing up. Even being young, you don't really realise, how much influence you have on junior people coming through the club. But when I was coming through, I see these kids that were playing under 8s, coming through the system now. You're like, how'd you get so big, and how you're like, you're getting so much better than But when I was watching under 8s, I used to referee up here. I used to referee Brothers.
I remember that.
I used to love watching kids. I used to always love being around kids and love seeing junior development. And I want to be a part of it for the future and a long time to come.
Wayne, when you played up here, and totally different now, because back when you were playing, you'd be playing club football either with or against a bloke you'd just played Queensland representative for the weekend before even Australian players.
Yeah, well, we had the Blimper Cup, of course, and we had to play that on Saturday and come back and play club football on Sunday. And you're expected to back up. So we did that. And, in the police it was difficult for me because we had a lot of shift work. So what I did from about February, not pre-season training, but when we started training for Toowoomba as well, I'd do night shift. I'd start at midnight on Sunday night, work till 8 a.m. next morning, and I'd do that Monday to Friday. So that way I could get to the 4 training sessions I had to get to, and I had the weekends free. I'd finish Friday morning at 8 o'clock, and we'd probably be on the way to Toowoomba. I was from Toowoomba to Brisbane or somewhere to play on the Saturday and back on the Sunday. And I remember chasing a guy. It was about 1 a.m. in the morning. I'd played Saturday, I'd played Sunday, and I was that sore. And, some guy was receiving milk money, as they used to in the old days, and the old sergeant sitting in the patrol car, and we sight this guy about 1 a.m. in the morning, and he says, "You're a young bloke, you can get out and chase him." I still remember chasing him. It hurt me that much. I didn't catch the bastard either, but I was that sore from backing up 2 days of football, and we didn't get the treatment these guys get today. Believe me, we were expected to.
I bet you if you were playing the next day, you would have caught him and had him locked up for the night. Who's probably some of the footballers you remember playing against, Wayne, that really stood out in the local comp here?
Well, McCarthy was a big star up here at the time. He was a fullback, played at Valleys. Doug Muir.
Yep.
Mal Connell, I think it was, at Oakey. He's the maddest guy I've ever played against in all my life. If there was one brain in his head, I'd like to know where it was. And he just terrorised. He hated me being a copper. So he played with me in the Toowoomba team one day and be my mate, and the next day be trying to kill me. Actually, I picked it up in a spear tackle one day, and I honestly wanted to kill him. And he jumped up and laughed at me. I thought, what a waste of time this is. And at all whites, well, the O'Sheas were here, John and Pat. Paul, Ronnie Beecham.
Yep.
Ronnie didn't like playing club football, he just wanted to play rep football. Okay, so he wasn't keen on the normal week-to-week stuff. Pat Brennan was a really good player. Gary Walker, Keith Walker, Gary's brother, the Walker brothers' uncle. He was really good player, pretty casual guy about his footy, but he was good. So the other types of guys that played with here, a guy named Graham Kerr, come in from the West and played with us. He was a really good player, went to England, played 2 or 3 years over there. Yeah. So.
Did so obviously coaching's your love now in the game, and it's evolved so many years. Was coaching? Did you feel it early when you were playing that you wanted to be a coach?
No. Still don't feel it now.
How did you fall into it then? Pardon? How did you end up becoming the coach?
By accident. Still a bloody accident.
JT, a coaching influence on you outside of NRL?
Played with him too, was he here?
Yeah, look, I was very lucky. I had a lot of people that influenced me throughout my career, especially in the junior days. But when I moved to Toowoomba, that's when I felt like my footy started going to another level. That's when I felt like I started to really exceed in rugby league. Where as in Brisbane, I felt like I was going nowhere. So, Rob was a massive part of that. Paul Canning, who was the first coach at St Mary's, was a massive part of that, and obviously Gary Reen, who was the A-grade coach at the time while I was here, was a massive part of that too. So, they're 3 guys that have been very influential in my life, and I'm very grateful that our paths crossed and made me a better player and made me understand the game of rugby league.
You enjoying the media now, JT, because you're going pretty good at it?
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving it actually. It's good fun. It's good fun. The people that I work with are great. I love working alongside Fatty. He's he's a TV royalty. He's working alongside Joey, Lockie. The producers are great. The camera people, hair and makeup.
Did you think you'd go into the media?
Much work over here.
Was that the next natural step for you? When you finished rugby league, was that the next natural step? Was for media? Were you looking for that? Were you looking for it?
Yeah, it sort of fell into my lap really. I wanted to play as long as I could, but the last probably 5 years of my career, I started putting things in place to help with that transition, make that transition as easy as possible, and commentating was one of those, and that way it keeps me involved in the game very closely, and it's like I'm at the pub with my mates talking about footy. So my wife says it's not work, it's a hobby. So I can't argue with that. But I do every Thursday night game. That's part of my contract. I do every Thursday night game with them. So wherever the Thursday night game is, fly to there. I'm home Friday. Got the weekend with the kids. Actually, I play golf on Saturday.
Well, you're lucky you weren't doing tonight's game because the Cowboys got beat by the Dragons.
They got beaten in the end by the Saints, but onwards and upwards for the team.
One last question to each of you, same one. Start with you, Wayne. Where do you see rugby league going in the future? You happy with the state of the game now and where it's going?
Yeah, I'm not. The game's been my life, so I'm not going to be one to find a great deal of fault with it. But I think down the track somewhere they're going to have to recognise a professional game and an amateur game, and have different sets of rules, not major rule changes, but changes, because professional game is for the elite, and a lot of people play our game that aren't elite, and I always want them to have the opportunity to play.
Yep.
And I think we've got to start to move in that direction, because the way we train, the things that we do is just way ahead of anything that's happened in the past, and it's only going to get more professional in the future, and it's leaving the amateur game behind, and we're all trying to play under the same rules.
Yep.
And I think it's and we're probably losing a lot of people because of that as well, because it's just too big of a gap between both those, and we recognise that, and I hope we will in the next decade to say, well, okay, but we can all still play, and there's a place for you, and another 100 years' time we're going to have another one of these great nights, and they'll all feel part of the Brothers Club.
Ash,
what do you think the solution is for that then?
Oh, some rule changes and
Just rule changes?
yeah. So that, I mean, we identify the elite players at 14, 15 years of age now. Yep. And they go into all programs, and they leave all their teammates behind, and kids aren't playing now because their mates have moved on. So we've got to change our cycle a fair bit, and as I said, we've got to adapt for those guys that want to play but aren't elite, and then they grow into adulthood and all got jobs and going to work every day. They don't want to be coming in and smashed and cruciates and major injuries, put them out of work for 3 or 4 months because of the physicality of the game.
Yep.
Because the game's got extremely physical. That's
Yeah.
what's happened to the game, okay? It's a collision sport, but it's at absolute height at the moment, and it's going to get even more advanced because these guys like Ash, Johnathan came into it at some part of it when it was, but in the last 3 or 4 years, it's just gone to another gear. And so our 18 and 19-year-olds are going to come out by 24, 25. They're absolute monsters. Faster, stronger, hit harder, run harder, sacrifice their bodies.
Ash, where do you see it going? Do you think it's going to get quicker? Yep.
You want me to answer that after he answered it?
Yeah.
Obviously, being in the game for such a short time, I haven't got the knowledge of these guys beside me, but you can definitely tell where the game's going. It's definitely growing, as Wayne said. Guys are getting a lot bigger, a lot stronger. Myself, my own opinion, 24 years old, 4 shoulder recons, an ankle, fingers, grind. There's a lot that goes on within rugby league.
They'll be calling you MBF shortly. But you're still only a
won't-
baby
they
in the
won't
game.
sponsor
You've got
me.
so many years ahead of you. What about you, JT? Where do you see the game evolving to?
Like Wayne said, it's, the clubs, the pathways now are so much greater than it was when I was coming through, and I think the 2000 State of Origin series was a massive turning point for Queensland Rugby League. That was when Wayne and a few other people brought in the QAS camps, the Queensland Academy of Sport camps, that I was lucky enough to be a part of, and that fast-tracked our development. And certainly those camps are still being applied today, but at a much earlier age. So the way that the game's going, like Wayne said, the guys that are coming through now that are 18, 19, 20, by the time they're mature, they're monsters. Some of the boys that I see now on the sideline, I go, did I tackle him? Things like that, because the pathways now, it's just become so professional that every club, every team is looking for that edge, and it's the toughest sport in the world.
My oath, it is the greatest game of all, rugby league. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put your hands together for JT, Wayne Bennett and Ash Taylor, three brothers champions that are up here on stage. We might keep you up on stage. We're about to introduce our A-grade side. We might get you to alternate presenting jerseys. It'll be a real honour for these young fellas to get the jerseys from three great brothers representatives. So if our current A-grade side can line up over here to my right, your left, and we'll invite up onto stage the A-grade coach Chris McEwen to introduce the team, and also John Dixon, who's been assisting. So we get Dicko and Stumpy up, and we're going to present these commemorative jerseys, and some of these are going to be auctioned off later. Now, what's going to happen with these jerseys? A couple of minutes, we're about to have a break. What's going to happen with these jerseys is the boys are going to play in these tomorrow. They're going to be washed, and they're in an auction online. Number 6, though, will not be played tomorrow. So whoever the 6 is, I think that's Wally. He'll be wearing the 18. Johnathan has already signed that. But we're going to auction a few of these. They've got the 29 premierships that the Brothers Club have enjoyed in their 100 years of rugby league. So if we've got Dicko, you come over first, mate, and Stumpy. Hey, John, welcome back, and thanks very much for the Brothers boys have been telling me, how you sort of come back to help your old club in a little bit of time of need, mate. What's the current crop starting to look like?
Yeah, well, the really good thing about 2019, I came in 2018, and as a club, we've had good years, and we've had some poor years. 2018, we were really struggling. We were struggling number-wise and whatever. No lack of effort, but just numbers weren't there. 2019, and the squad that we've got that are going to play tomorrow, there are signs that only positive signs. Like we're a really good group of young men. Last Tuesday it's -4, it's rain and whatever the story is, and Tuesday night at Glenholme Park, and we've got 30 or 40 boys there training A grade and reserve grade. So things really have changed around here, which is really, really good.
Dicko, you're still living in Brisbane, aren't you, up at Scarborough or somewhere?
I do live at Scarborough.
Yeah. And you're travelling up here 3 times a week to give the boys a hand for nothing?
No.
Well, we're going to make you travel 3 times a week.
Right, you're good. No, I come up twice a week. I come up midweek,
twice a week?
and then I come up on the weekends for game day.
Mate, what made you want to do that? Just because of your love for the club?
That's the answer. Well, like everybody else here, when I went to school at St Mary's, and where would you play footy? You play footy for all whites. That's what I did. And then when I came back and I'd finished touch and that sort of stuff, and I come back and wanted to coach, where would you coach? I'd like to coach at all whites, and met with Terry Shooter and Billy Hardwig and coach there. And then last year when I'm sitting at home and I haven't got a whole lot to do and the club that I really loved wasn't going so great, so I thought just maybe I could help. And I rang Joey Hannett, and to his credit, I rang Chris McEwen, and they both said, yeah, come. So I'm here, and I've had it's wonderful to be part of 2019.
Well done. Put your hands together for Dicko, if you want to grab them jerseys. So we'll ask Chris to come over. You're doing a good job with these boys, mate. You come on when Brothers are really struggling, and you've been there for a number of years now, and you're starting to build not just a team, but a culture.
Yeah, it's a big turnaround from, like John said, in 2018 where we struggled for numbers. Now there's, unfortunately, some boys don't get to play every week because we are growing in numbers and the team's developing. And like John said, I haven't worked with such a group of young men that are so respectful. All the years I've been coaching, you always have one player that says, why we're doing this, how many of these we've got to do. Not once do these boys say that. And Tony Buckle, our trainer, he's one of the past players.
I could tell you a few stories about Buck, but not tonight.
He's helping us out with the fitness side of things. He was even surprised that they just do what we ask and they don't whinge and they go out and they bust their butts every week and they never give up.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask Stumpy now to announce the team 1 to 17, and we'll get JT, Wayne and Ash to present these jerseys. So this is your 2019 Centenary side at the moment, and looking forward to them getting into the Valleys Roosters tomorrow.
The fullback, number 1 tomorrow, unfortunately is not here tonight. He's on his way back from Sydney for work. Nick Travis will be wearing the number 1, so he won't be there. Number 2, Jaron Bender. Number 3, Kyle Wagner. Number 4, Corey Langton. Number 5, Zach Wright. And in honour of Johnathan Thurston, tomorrow Wally unfortunately won't wear the number 6. It's been rested for the day. He's going to wear number 18, but our number 6, 5'8", Wally Pegler. Seven, Sam Petros. Number 8 for tomorrow, Ricky Davies. Number 9 and captain of the side, Alex McElwain. Number 10, Mitch Petros. Number 11, Mitch Ravel. Number 12, Alex Rangira. Number 13, Robert Taylor. Number 14, Matt Langton. Number 15, Nick Nahn. Number 16, unfortunately can't be here tonight because of family commitments, Brad Brown. Number 17, Ben Holman. And our 18th man and 19th man, unfortunately, Tom Taylor would have been in the side this week, but he's got to go away tomorrow to play rep football for the Clydesdales under 20 side. So Tom Taylor's number 18 and Adam Bertelson number 9. Guys, these jerseys, there's only 25 in existence and they're available for auction if you want to make a bid, either on Facebook or at the game tomorrow. Get in and get your bid on your jersey.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's your 2019 Brothers team wearing the Centenary jerseys for tomorrow. Let's get out there and have a cheer them on and watch them give it to the Valleys Roosters tomorrow. And thanks to Chris and Dicko, who are doing such great job with our team. Put your hands together again for Wayne Bennett, Johnathan Thurston and Ashley Taylor, 3 of our favourites for coming back to Toowoomba.
We're going to have a break now for about 10 minutes. We're going to have dessert, and then we're going to be back with cutting of the cake and an auction and some more lucky door prizes. So enjoy a couple of beers, catch up. We'll be back in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, so we've just had the speeches here at the Centenary dinner here for Brothers 100-year celebration, and look who I found. I found Trent Young, a Brothers boy, or an all-whites boy, I can say. Trent, what a wonderful night it's been.
It's a great night. I think these events are really important, probably just for rugby league in general, but if, everyone catching up, old friendships, then that's what the game's built on, is mateship, so it's really good for everyone to come and catch up.
I think you were saying, like we've had JT and Wayne Bennett and Ash there as well, and you've played at the highest level. People forget that they all had to come from somewhere, and you guys are human. You have to pay the mortgage or pay the rent or whatever, and but you feel even better that you are coming back to your grassroots, because it just makes you feel so familiar.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. There's nothing superhuman about the people, I guess, and where they, we are just normal human beings, and we all came from grassroots, places and country towns, and we're just like anyone else out here tonight. And the team that lined up here tonight, they're just young men giving it their best type thing, and that's where we came from. So
yeah, and we're all about brothers or all whites. And you were here in the late 90s and 2000s. As you said, you won the 2000 grand final, 21-20 against Gundawindi. Who kicked the goal or the field goal?
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one. Russell Vol, who's here tonight, he's a front rower. We were playing against Gundawindi, and I was at hooker, and I had Mick Kennedy to the left, who was the halfback, screaming for the ball, and I had a front row on the other side. I don't know what made me make the decision to go to the front row, but maybe it was a bit louder, but I gave him the ball and he slotted it over, so yeah.
So you were the man who was supposed to slot it over, is that right?
No, I definitely wasn't the man that was supposed to slot it over, but pretty unusual for a front rower to kick a field goal, I'd suggest.
So in that era, what players do you love playing with and against, and who were the toughest, and who did you have respect for? Because I think when you play, or you look back at your grassroots, there's players there that are even tougher than your NRL career.
No, definitely. I think growing up in country towns and playing rugby league, there was always tough people. It was a tough man's game, and I came through a bit of that era, and I was lucky enough to play with some tough and talented players like the Don Saunders and the David Andersons. But Gundawindi was definitely a fierce component that year, and they had a number of great players, McGrady's and Mal Peckham, and they had some big front rows. Kane Spicer, an ex-Clydesdale, he was one of the toughest competitors that I played against.
Yeah, I know Kane. I couldn't believe how short he was when he was such a tough competitor, but those certainly were the actual years. But you would have been so pleased watching from the outside how the club here have evolved, especially these last 3 or 4 years, which has come back from the brink of mediocrity to be now going to be probably one of the top clubs moving in the next decade.
Yeah, I think with any organisation, any club, there's ebbs and flows of talent, and there's different eras. People move on and new people come in. And my understanding is if there is a changing of the guard, they've had a lot of young guys in the club, and hopefully that sets them up for sustained high performance for a period to come. You have young guys that are pretty much learning their trade, and if they can keep that nucleus together, which sounds like they are doing, I'm sure they're going to, the law of the harvest, they'll bear some fruit at some point moving forward.
And Trent, just back to yourself, your grassroots, born in Toowoomba, or?
No, I grew up in Roma most of my younger years. Mum and Dad moved to Miles when I was really young, Gundawindi, then we landed in Roma, so we had farming out in Roma, and I played for cities in Roma before moving to Toowoomba.
So Frankie Gardner and those boys?
Frankie Saunders.
Frankie Saunders, sorry.
Butch Smith, who's a Toowoomba South man. I've spent a was fortunate enough to play with and be mentored by a number of tough nuts from Roma as well. So.
How'd you end up in Toowoomba? How'd you end up at this club?
To be honest, I didn't get an apprenticeship or anything, and I came to Toowoomba for uni because that was sort of the only option. It was a bit harder to get work back then, and funny enough, Brian Henschel was helping out with all the younger guys at that point. He pointed me in the right direction. You need to go to Whites, and I met Reedy the first night, and the rest is history. I was very fortunate. It's like most things, it's timing, it's sliding door moments, and I was lucky enough to be involved in a great club. Yeah.
And talking about sliding doors, how did that NRL sliding door open for you? What was the seed that was planted, or the opportunity that you had?
To be honest, I was never a great talent. I didn't have the talent of a JT or anyone like that. I was just all effort, and for me, it was just about nothing. It was just continually chasing, continually competing. I was a broomstick type build. I was pretty light, so for me, it was just about continually testing myself. And the beautiful thing coming through the Toowoomba Rugby League, and then I took the opportunity to go to Brisbane and play Queensland Cup, and I had a really good year, breakout year, when I went to Brisbane East and played Queensland Residents. And Richo at South reached out, being an ex-East man, and Johnny Lang was at Penrith, and he reached out, and I took the opportunity to go to South. So it was just about sticking with it. I never had any really, that potential never really was quite there. So it was just all effort, and kept never giving up the dream. So.
Yeah, whilst it's faster and fitter in those clubs, I've always heard that the clubs at that level are no different than the clubs at this level.
No, outside, I guess the professionalism lives a little bit around the training techniques, and Wayne spoke about that before. But from how the club operates, you've got similar structures. You've got people that give you the gear out. There's people that give you help out with water bottles, and it's no different to All Whites. There's people, when I was coming through All Whites, or Brothers it's called now, there'd be people doing certain roles, and they were there not for the pay packet. They were there to help the club be successful, and that's the essence of rugby league, really, isn't it?
And Trent, what position are you playing in the Old Boys game tomorrow?
I've got no idea. I might play. Hopefully, I'll come off the bench so I don't get tackled. But I'll probably play in the hooking position.
Good on you, mate. Well, yeah. It's quite an honour for you to come back. Probably not as much as an honour it is for you to come back for you.
Mate, I love getting involved in rugby league. It's given me so much in my life. So the friendships you build, that's why you come back to these events. So yeah, it's great. It's on. Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of the night.
Cheers.
Good on you, mate.
He's the patron of your fantastic club, a 1966 grand finalist himself for the Almighty Brothers, or All Whites back then. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Antonio.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's an unexpected honour not only to have the opportunity of saying a few words, but also to be the patron of All Whites Stroke Brothers Club. Yes, I came down in 1966 as a 19-year-old. I was asked to come down by Tony Gollan's grandfather, Darryl. The coach was Ripper Doyle. Jack Lee was the president. Glenn Brown was a state ranked second rower playing for Queensland. It was a great year for me. I hadn't played much football, and somebody had told me that I was pretty hot, and I believed that. So I came down, and the first game was against Newtown, and I thought this is easy. But the second game was against Valleys, where there was a fella called John McDonald on the other side. I was a 5'8", I was marking John Trow. There was Risman, whole heap of names. And I very quickly realised then, ladies and gentlemen, that I was not in that class that those people were, and I never would be, and I didn't really want to be. I just wanted to, I was a farmer, so I stuck by that. But you know, I learnt a lot from All Whites. How proud you ought to be tonight, 100 years, All Whites. Think of what it's done for this community. Think of what Rugby League has done for this community. Those of us who remember those amazing days of the Blimber Cup, when Ipswich would come here, Brisbane would come here, and the involvement there was. The year I played, 66, was the last year of the 4 clubs. So the next year I went back to Mulmerran, played for them, and I guess there were a number of people in that side that I played in that weren't just too sure where the goal line was. They weren't particularly experienced. But anyhow, Mulmerran went on to build. It was a good example of what you can do, and they actually won 2 premierships. And you wouldn't believe it, but there's not too much of rugby league played. But look, I'm very honoured to be the patron of All Whites Brothers Club. Very honoured indeed. All the very best to those young men who are representing All Whites with great pride tomorrow. I hope that you do very well. I got to the grand final in that year, 1966, and I'm still scarred by the fact that we came second on that day. But the reality, of course, is we're up against Valleys. We fought hard, as All Whites always did, and we just didn't quite make it. But ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honour to be here, as I've said 3 or 4 times, and congratulations, All Whites. You know, I was mentored by so many people, and to see Des McGovern Jr. here, I remember the words that were said to me by his dad. The people, and I know that there was a barman from the Gladstone Hotel who thought I needed a shot of brandy before I went on. I had a crack at that. That was all right. It's a bit sad to see the Gladstone Hotel go. But look, I had a great experience, and I'm very thankful to the experience that I had at All Whites. I think all those years when you're young and you're a teenager, they shape who you are. It was wonderful to hear the 3 icons here tonight and just how proud and what a wonderful record All Whites stroke Brothers have. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. We'll get you to draw out these wonderful lucky door prizes. Now, our next one is this one. So this is a half jersey from the old era and the new era. And is Neb Cherry. You better come up as well very shortly. And the winner of this lucky door prize, it's attached to your free ticket for entry tomorrow, is Red E15. Red E15. Someone got that? Red E15. Bluey. Eric, how just is that? Paul's going to run that down, dear. Here he is. He was the secretary in 66 when Paul played. Well done, Eric. What a stalwart of... Our next one that we'll get Paul to draw is for some tickets to Rugby League the Musical, thanks to Kylie. It is a fantastic musical. What number have we got? This is your lucky door prize. My goodness. This is a green ticket this time, and it's also E15. So if you thought you missed out, it's now E15 in green. Who's got that? We got a winner? Joe Hennett, former president. Great stalwart of the Valleys Club. Hard worker. Of the Brothers Club. They did tell me they were trading you for a bottle of wine. Well done, Joe. And I got one more. This is the reciprocal jersey. It's half and half the other way. You're doing well here, mate. None of these are mine. It's a red ticket, and it's E90. E90, a red ticket. Who's got that? Up you come. Here we go. E90, you got that one? Red? You tick all the boxes? Happy days? Well done. There you go. That's yours. There we go. That's our lucky door prizes. We're going to auction a couple of jerseys. So thank you very much to Paul Antonio. Put your hands together. We'll get Ashley to grab one of those jerseys and hold it up. Now this jersey, while they're online, the boys are going to play them tomorrow. These jerseys, whoever buys them here tonight, you could go and see Wayne, Johnathan and Ash, and you could get them to personalise it for you when they autograph it. Hey, and put your hands together, the two sponsors who made the Centenary jerseys possible for us. John Gilbert Electrical. Johnny, well done. And Hannah's, the great team down there at Hannah's. So we're going to auction them jerseys. Nev Terry's going to do one of the auctions. Hey, Nev, time for a call? What do you reckon? Can you do us a call? Come on, put your hands together. We'll get Nev to do us a call. Give us a brother's call, mate. Come on.
Mate, I'll set the scene for you. It's tomorrow night. Valleys are playing the Glenholme Brothers Club. We're out at Glenholme Park and... Jump over here, ready to go. So we've just come into half-time. It's 14-all. It's been a wonderful game. Paul, what have you thought about the first half as they go into the half-time? Pat O'Shea's the coach.
Mate, it's all locked up there with Pat O'Shea. He's not happy with the boys. He's telling the forwards he wants a little bit more effort. He's said the backs have got him there all year by doing all the fancy work out there, and they're not showing that today. So he's told the boys he's given them a bit of free rein, mate. So let's hear what happens in the second half.
Mate, give me an insight into Ricky Werribone back there, a fullback, and Des McGovern on the wing.
Yeah, look, Desi McGovern, he can get anywhere. Ricky Werribone, pretty fleet-footed. They won't want to give him half an opportunity.
Mate, as we see the side come back out in the second half, it's been a torrid affair. There's only 60 seconds to go. Paul, give me your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, 18-14. Valleys are in front of Brothers, 18-14, 70 seconds to go.
Mate, Valley's Roosters have been given a penalty. They're 10 metres out. They're on the far corner from the Delhi face stand. Herb Steiner takes it up off the tap. He's snapped in half by Mick Madsen. It's game on. He's dropped the ball. Dave Anderson's dived on the ball. Thurston's come in behind the forwards. He's screaming at his forwards. Go to the Brothers' go-to plan. Go to the far side of the field. Dave Anderson hits the first one up. He's poleaxed again. He's trapped 20 metres out. Here comes Donnie Saunders. Around the back comes Ripper Doyle. He's making a gain of 10 metres. He's into the centre of the field. Here comes off Thurston. Thurston's Buckle. Buckle takes it. He's beaten 1, 2. He's cut down short. Buckle it down. He's 10 metres in from the far sideline. They start to do the switch back there. The ball goes to Barrett. Barrett gets it on to Taylor. Taylor puts a little chip in. Stenner comes flying through. Stenner picks it up. He's away. He's into the open. He turns it back inside to Fox. Fox gets to the fullback. He throws the Hail Mary over. Bennett picks it up. He's flying to the Delhi Ray corner. The crowd's going crazy. He scores!
Yeah, try to Bennett in the corner. He levels it up, 18-all, as we hear the hooter go. 18-all with the hooter from the sideline.
Pick a kick for me, Reedy. Who's going to kick
it? No, none other. I'm giving it straight to JT. Straight to JT to give the kick.
Right, he brings it back. He's talking to the referee, Mick Merchant. He's come back on the quarter line. He takes it in an extra metre towards the post. Mickey Merchant says, no, young fella, back out to where they scored it. They come out 10 metres inside the sideline. He's right in front of the Brothers' dugout. The Brothers faithful stand as one and sing, oh, when the Saints go marching in. And Thurston comes back. He takes 5 back. He goes 2 to the side. He wiggles the fingers. He shakes the leg. Takes a deep breath. They all start to clap him in. He moves in. He strikes it nicely. The ball's on its way. It's going round. It's going round. It's going round. It's in!
Yes! Brothers take out the grand final. What a good side. Could be a team of the century.
You do the first option.
Pat O'Shea. He's going for goal over there, the coach. Well done, Nev. Okay, we're going to kick off our first one. Number 19. The Hannah's John Gilbert Centenary jersey. If Ash turns it around, you'll see all 29 premierships on there. This will be pretty special for someone. If we can see out there. Who's going to kick me off with $100? Can I get 100? I've got 100, I'm looking for 120. 120, I'm looking for 140. I've got 140, I'm looking for 160. I got 140, I'm looking for 160. Who's going to give me $160? I've got 160 down the back. Got 160 down there looking for 180. I've got 160. Who's going to give me 180? You can get it signed and personally autographed. Yeah, you've got it at 180 now, so I've got 180. She's gone from 160, 200. I've got 200 over every right. Who's going to give me 220? I've got 200 over here. I've got 220 back down there. 220 down in the middle. Look at the 240. I've got 220. Who's going to give me 240? You've got it at 220. I've got 220. Can I get 240? There's only 2 here tonight. $220. Can I get another one? 220 watts. 240. $240. I'm looking for 260. I've got 240. You've got it at 240. 400. You telling me 400? Yep, he's calling out the numbers now. 400. They got $400 over here once. Who's going to give me $420? I got $400. $400 once. $400 twice. All said and done. He's knocked them all out. $420. $420. $420 down here in the middle. $420. Who's going to give me $450? I got $420. I'm looking for $450. I got $420 down here. You're out. I got $450. $450 to my left. Who's going to give me $475? I got $450 over here. Who's going to give me $475? I got $450. $450. I'm looking for $475. $450 once. $450 twice. All said and done. Sold. Well done. $450. You can either pay cash tonight, direct debit to the club. You can catch up with them tomorrow. However you like during the week. $450 our first jersey. Nev, you're doing number 23.
Thanks very much for that, Paul. Mate, I have number 23, which probably doesn't mean much to most rugby league traditionalists, but the special thing about this jersey, it's one you're going to keep for your grandkids into the future. We've managed to get Johnathan Thurston to sign it with Warm-Up Walmsley, one of the fellows that discovered him, and his first grade coach. So I think that might up the interest a little bit. Mate, we'll take $10 bids, and I'll take an open bid of $100. $100 bidder over here, got $100 bid in the red lady there, looking for 100, who's going to give me $110 bidder over the back there, 110 to the lovely young lady, looking for 120, got 120 over the back there, looking for 130, he's going to give me 130, 130 back over here, 200 over here to warm-up, giving us $200, 200, 200, going 210, who's going to give me a $210 bidder, $210 bidder, $210 bidder now, 210 over here, we've got 210 to young Beatos, going to 220, he's going to give me a $220 bidder, $220 bidder now, I'm looking for a 220, he's got a 220, he's going to get 220 over here. 220 over, going to 230, who's getting 230 up the back there, 230 flash of cash, ladies and gentlemen, 230 going to 240, 250 over here, it's going to give me 260 over here, to 300, we've got 300 to young Kyle, $300 bidder, $300 bidder, who's going to give me 320, who's going to give me 320, we got $320 bidder, 320 over the back there to the young fella, going to 330, going to give me 330 over here, 330, we got 340, who's going to give me a $340 bidder over the back there, we're going to 350, who's giving me 350 over here, we're going to 360, take 360 over here, $370 bidder, $370 bidder, you're going to give me 370 over the back there, going 380, going to give me a $380 bidder, $380 bidder, where are you, 380 up the back there, $380 bidder, going to 390, who's going to give me a $390 bidder, we'll make it 400, we're going to 390, then he's going to give me a $400 bidder, $400 bidder, that's easy, $400 bidder, $400 bidder, $400 bidder out there, I'm looking, can I see a $400 bidder? 400 up the back there, 400 going to 410, who's going to give me a 410, make it 410, take the 410 ladies and gentlemen, who'll give me a $410 bidder, 410, who's going to give me a $410 bidder, $410 bidder, looking, 400, we've got 400, we're going to stay on 400, we've got 410 over here, 420 over here, we've got 420, that's a bargain, that's a dead set bargain, $420 bidder, 420, you're going to give me a 420, we're going to go to 3 or 430, who's going to give me a $430 bidder, 430, run out of breath ladies and gentlemen, 430, okay, we'll go 420 in the front here, we're going to go once, we're going to go 450 to the young fella in the front here, they reckon he can play a little bit of football, 450 to JT, who's going to beat that? He might have wiped them all out, $450 bidder. He's going to go 460 over here. We're looking for 470, he's going to give me a $470 bidder. We'll wind her up to 500. We're 470, we're looking for 480, who's going to give me a 480. Come on, JT, come with me. $480 bidder, who's going to give me a 480. 480 over here, 480, he's going to give 490. $490 bidder up the back there. 500, he's going to give me 500. 500, come on, we got to beat him. We can't let him take it out of Toowoomba. $500 bidder, $500 bidder. 510 over here, we're going to go 510, he's going to give me a 520. $520 bidder. 520. I keep it. 520, give me a 520. 520, come on Thursday, 530. Get Wayne Bennett to loan you some money. 5 back with 530, who's going to give me 530? 530, we're going 530 ladies and gentlemen. $530 bidder, 530, 530. It's going for 520 once. Going for 550 to JT, 550, who's going to give me 560, we'll get 560 over here, $560 bidder, $560, 560, who's going to give me 560s, who's going 570, we're looking for 570, we're looking for 570, looking for 570, go $570 bidder, $570, make it 570, who's going to give 570 over here to Thursday, Thursday's going to take 570, going to go to 580, you've got to stick at 570, we're going to go once, we're going to go twice. Geez, that's a nice price. 3 times sold to the young fella here, Johnathan Thurston.
Put your hands together for Nev Cherry. A great call there with Brothers being too good for Valleys, and we hope we see that tomorrow. Thanks to our two successful bidders who supported and picked up a fantastic piece of memorabilia with our 100-year presentation. It's now our last formal thing for the night is to cut the centenary cake. We'll ask back our president, Pat Johnson, and we'll get our beautiful princess, our ambassador for 2019, to come up and jointly cut the cake. If we got the photographer who wants to jump up on stage and grab a picture. Hang on. So, ladies and gentlemen, 28th of June 2019, celebrating 100 years for this fantastic club, all Whites and Brothers. Our lovely ambassador doing a great job, and our president who's doing a fantastic job for the Brothers Club with this magnificent cake. Now, that's going to be available for people to have a piece of. It's going to be down the back with the tea and coffee station. Shorty, just on your table there, there's a memorabilia. So it's the table number. They've been done for every table. They're for sale tonight. $20 each if you would like one. See Kylie, Karen or Kerry Ann, the 3Ks. So if you want to see one of those ladies, give them $20. Take home that piece of memorabilia from our 100 years. If you miss out on yours on your table, pinch one from somewhere next door. Ladies and gentlemen, Beattie, I think it's on time. He told me 9:30, it's 9:34. It's been my honour tonight to be part of the 100-year celebration for Brothers. I've thoroughly enjoyed being here. It's now time for you to be able to catch up, enjoy, reminisce about the great times of Brothers. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our fantastic Brothers Club. Hope to see you at the football tomorrow.
How about everyone putting their hands together for Paul? Paul's done a wonderful job tonight and he should be congratulated. Thank you very much, Paul.